Hey, Daniel Paluzik with the VMware Cloud Provider team. I'm going to quickly walk through today on this video on how to actually migrate a tenant workload from a traditional vCenter experience to a vCloud Director environment while also migrating over the network functionality. So this is a big, significant part of the multi-tenancy, but also providing self-service network services. So this is two functions. One, we're migrating from a physical underlay network to a NSX experience, which is the overlay inside of vCloud Director, along with migrating the virtual machine to the vCloud Director UI. So what I have is I have a Photon OS machine on this network 172.16.102. Currently, let's just say that this network existed on my physical environment, and what I want to do is I'm going to move this entire network, and we're going to move it to a tenant edge inside of vCloud Director. For this to happen, this requires obviously the network team to manage any of the routes and change that routing interface. So this is the first step of the migration. Migrate routing interface to NSX environment, which is DCP Edge 01. In my lab environment, I've already done that. I've migrated and created this interface inside of the vCloud Director Edge that's managed by my organization, which is Daniel, and this route is being propagated northbound, so I have accessibility through my Windows system. The second part is then migrating the NIC of Daniel app to the new NSX network inside of vCloud Director. And the third part is the easiest, which is migrate Daniel app to VCD under Daniel organization. So in this video, I'm going to actually go through each of these steps and show how this is configured within the environment. All right. So let me actually jump to my lab environment. We can see we have Daniel app. IP is already applied. Right now, it's connected to the physical overlay network, so I'm not able to reach it. However, I should be able to reach my gateway of Daniel Edge, which is 102.1, and that is working. So the first thing we have to do, and just to show that this is not inside of the Daniel org, we don't see any virtual machines associated with this, so all clean right now. So let me go back over to my vSphere interface. The first thing we're going to do is, all we're going to do is mount up the network interface of the Daniel network, which was called Daniel Test Network. Any created vCloud Director interface is provisioned inside of the resource or payload vCenter also. So you can easily modify this and select it as an available network. So we can see that Daniel Test Network is here, available, and we're going to go ahead and mount this up to Daniel app and press OK. So we can see that that's been mounted. Now I should be able to ping it. So I can ping my gateway, and I can ping and reach out Daniel app, which is great. So the second part of this is then moving it to the organization VDC. When we create any type of OVDC, all we have to do is, what's created is a resource pool inside of that cluster. My 3-node cluster here, this is part of my provider VDC. And so when I created the Daniel pay-as-you-go OVDC, it created this respective resource pool. So what I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to drag Daniel app inside of this resource pool. What happens in the background, and vCloud Director, the cells will actually watch. By default, it will check for virtual machines, any new virtual machines, every 3 minutes. I've adjusted this down just because I've been doing testing in my lab environment. This is all modified through the CLI. And it also has logic in it. If a virtual machine has been created in the past hour, then it won't actually import that in there. And we could see some tasks actually popping up in here too, where I believe it's actually importing this into vCloud Director. So if we go back to our interface, and I'm actually going to switch over to the provider interface just to see if it's populated yet. And we do see it. So we see Daniel app, Discover Daniel app is already in here. It imports it as a single or standalone virtual app or vApp, and we can see the association with this. From here, I'm going to jump back over to the tenant UI. If I do a quick refresh, and we see it. So Daniel app in here. The great thing about this is I can go into details of this, and I should see all of my network permissions associated with this, including any of the VMware tools information. So this is a Photon machine, so we were able to import this in here and modify that. If we actually bring out the hardware and we look at the NAC, we can see that this was associated with Daniel Test Network, which is a network that I've associated within this environment. I haven't made any other changes other than importing that in here. It's fully accessible now through the tenant UI and ready to go. And that's really it. If you have any questions, again, the import process, we do all the hard work associated with this. This is, we can clear that. That just basically says it was imported in there, and you're ready to go. Hope this video was useful. Thanks.